All right, everybody. I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran, and we're going to do a quick take on some breaking news regarding the Jamal Khashoggi murder. Alexander, we have some breaking news, which just, to me, it's incredible. We have a $100 million payoff. Is that correct? $100 million payoff from Saudi Arabia to the U.S. We have one of the people involved in the murder of Khashoggi has mysteriously died. What's going on in this breaking story?
Well, as you said, it's incredible stuff. Now, I should say the story about the person having died, allegedly one of the hitmen who was involved and who has been identified by the Turks as being one of the people who was involved in the killing of Khashoggi in the consulate. They named him. The Turks are now saying through their media that he died in a mysterious traffic accident in Saudi Arabia itself. I mean, the implication seems to be that this traffic accident is a traffic accident in inverted commas. In other words, that somebody's clearing up the mess. And the other news, now this is confirmed, this is definitely true, is that it seems the Saudis have paid $100 million to the US State Department, supposedly as some kind of payoff for the fight against ISIS. But, I mean, the timing looks really interesting coming just after the Khashoggi business. And as I said, there's some people who are going to say that this is an advanced payoff as the US struggles to try and help the Saudis out of this mess in which they find themselves in. So it's all very intriguing stuff. And I think we need to keep our eyes fixed on all of this. The US now says it's going to give the Saudis a little more time to sort out their explanation of what happened. In other words, to fix their story. And it looks as if that, the Saudis are using that to good purpose by, as I said, removing from the scene some of the people who may have been involved. Let's keep an eye on this one, Alex, and see what happens.
All right. I'm sure they've given the Saudis the bank account numbers, and they're giving them a couple more days to sort out their finances, so to speak. We'll put a link for this story. You caught it on Zero Hedge. We'll put a link for this story from Zero Hedge. And real quick, there was another story from Zero Hedge. It's unconfirmed. And it was the New York Times that's saying that there's anonymous intelligence officials who are saying that bin Salman, MBS, ordered the murder of Khashoggi. Yeah. What do you take? Yeah. It's unconfirmed. It's anonymous. It's the fake news, New York Times. But what's your quick take on that?
Well, I mean, it is anonymous. But of course, the New York Times wants to embarrass Trump as much as it can, and is playing up the fact that Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is a friend of Mohammed bin Salman. So, I mean, there is that agenda there as well. But I think most people who have been following this story think that if Khashoggi really is dead, and I have to say, I mean, it's difficult to believe that he's not by now, that Mohammed bin Salman actually was the person who ordered it. It'd be very surprising if he wasn't, given that some of the people who have been identified as being the likely hit squad that carried this out seem to have very close connections to Mohammed bin Salman. So it looks as if the order did come from him. And for what it's worth, we now have the story from the New York Times, the paper of record, which appears to confirm this.
All right. And because it's a breaking story, it's a developing story every day. We get more crazy stuff coming out of this story.
Absolutely.
We'll try to wrap it up. When we get all the facts, I guess, if we ever get the facts. Do you think we'll ever get all the facts, Alex?
We're getting more and more of them. I mean, it's dribbling out, and I'm sure that in a couple of days, perhaps even a couple of hours, we'll have an awful lot more to say, and we'll start to get things that are true. One thing I'm pretty confident of, which is that Khashoggi is dead, and sooner or later, I'm pretty sure the Saudis are going to admit that. What happens afterwards and what other things they say, well, we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, we'll definitely do a very good breakdown of this entire Khashoggi story. We've been covering it pretty well up until today, and we'll continue to cover it. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, click the subscribe button, click on the notifications bell, donate to our PayPal and Patreon page, and buy a shirt at the Duran shop. Thank you very much, Alexander Mercouris. Till next time, take care.
Thanks.